What's going on? What's going on, team? Welcome back to another week. Welcome back to another weekly stock talk. My name is Xander with Facer Trading Academy. This week, we'll be taking a look at the SPY. We'll be taking a look at the Nasdaq, and we'll be taking a look at some of the opportunities that we have lined up for this week. Last week, we announced SPRT. We were taking a look at that. That gained 20%. We also looked at, what else did we have? We looked at UPRO. That was consistent. That gained 3.85%. We also took a look at WYNN, WYNN, that gained 9.95%. We also looked at DKNG, that gained 14%. We also took a look at, what else did we have? GoPro, GPRO, that gained 20%. We also looked at Etsy, ETSY, that gained 8.37%. And a lot more. So if you guys want to go over that, make sure to check out last week's Stock Talk video, add those to your watch list and start building out your watch list. And let's hop into this week's Stock Talk. If you guys enjoy this material, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and let's dive into it. So taking a look at the SPY, we've ended up breaking above this resistance that we had up here. We're making higher highs. And one thing I want you guys to note is that we do tend to see a pullback every about 2 weeks, right? So every 2 weeks, we end up seeing a little bit of a pullback. Every 2 weeks, we saw another pullback. It's about 18, 19 days. So it's a little bit more than 2 weeks. It's about 2.5 weeks. But end of this week is probably when we're approaching that time zone. So just be aware that we might see a little bit of a pullback in the overall market, right? As of right now, taking a look at the RSI, we aren't doing too great, I wouldn't say, but we're not doing too bad. That's kind of why I'm saying that we might actually end up seeing a pullback, because we tend to see pullback in the RSI when the market sells off, right? So MACD, kind of the same thing, showing the same, signals that we might start seeing a little bit of a pullback. Nobody can predict the market. All we can do is prepare ourselves, right? So based on history, based on the indicators that we're seeing, and just the overall sentiment in the market, we're doing fairly good right now. Obviously, we're making higher highs, but eventually that dies down, and there's a little bit of a pullback that does happen. So be sure to be prepared for that. That being said, though, the opportunities for this week, keep an eye on them, add them to your watch list, and if you see value in them, definitely take action on that and capitalize on that. So that's kind of what's going on with the SPY. Taking a look at the Nasdaq, so /NQ. Very similar setup. We're not, we're slowly just making higher highs, but it looks very similar to what we saw on SPY, right? Same setup here with the RSI and the MACD. I think that, we're probably going to see a little bit more, stable price action happening this week. Maybe make higher highs a little bit. But then, like I said, from my technical analysis, I believe that, we might see a little bit of a pullback happen here in the near future. So similar setup to what we're seeing with SPY. So jumping into the opportunities that we have for this week, the first one we're going to take a look at is going to be JBL. So taking a look at JBL, we have very consistent pattern that we've been seeing. We've been doing fairly well since pretty much the beginning of this year, end of last year. We've just been trending above this SMA level, the 200 and the 180 day. We ended up seeing a little bit of a pullback here a few days ago. It was about a week and a half ago. Or 2 weeks ago, we saw a little bit of a pullback, and now we're a little bit, taking a little bit of a dip. We're sitting at 59.25. We have highs at 61.23. The MACD is looking like, we still have some room to potentially dip down. So we might see a little bit of a pullback here down to this SMA level. So be aware of that, but just be prepared, right? So you can't take advantage of an opportunity if you're not prepared for it. So make sure that you're paying attention to it. Make sure that you're watching it. If we do dip down to this SMA level, just know that we've consistently seen bounces at this level, right? So every time we come down to the SMA, we end up bouncing. Coming down to the SMA, we end up bouncing. So here, I wouldn't say that, we're going to drop off right now, but We might see a little bit of a pullback continue maybe throughout this week, and then end of this week, we might see that opportunity present itself. So be ready for that. RSI, we're not very oversold or overbought. So we might just be trading sideways for a little bit as maybe slowly making lower lows. However, pay attention to the MACD. Once we start seeing indication of a curve to the upside, that's when you want to start paying attention to this opportunity. But make sure to add this to your watch list and be prepared. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be BIG. This one here, taking a look at it from a technical standpoint, we ended up pulling back down to the support level. This is a fairly critical support level. And the MACD is starting to curve to the upside. I would stay a little bit patient and get confirmation once we break above this EMA level for an entry. However, as of right now, taking a look at where the price is sitting, we're sitting at a very strong support level. And if we hold this, if we find some consolidation, hold it, break above this EMA level, we're going to see a bounce to the upside. So, MACD starting to curve to the upside. RSI, we're more so on the oversold side. So this is once again another confirmation for us that this is presenting a great opportunity. And this pattern plays out since basically the beginning of this year, right? So we made highs up here at 73, and now we're pulled back all the way down to 54. If we're looking from current price points to all-time highs, if we do recover, we're looking at about 33.61%. If we're looking from current price points to at least the 50-day moving average, we're looking at about 9.2, 9.58%. So either way, this is a great opportunity to consider and make sure to add it to your watch list. That's something that we're going to be watching this week with the team. The next one's going to be SAHSTOCK, so Sonic Automotive. This one here, we ended up pulling back down to the 50 moving average. We have been seeing a fairly consistent uptrend pattern. It's not as consistent as the previous one. However, as we come up, we come down. As we come up, we come down. We're starting to see higher highs as we do this, right? So this one here, we ended up moving up to 58 just a few days ago, and now we pulled back all the way to the 50 moving average. And now we're starting to look like we're potentially going to start bouncing here at the 50 moving average. Once again, you want to wait for that confirmation, that break of the EMA before jumping in on this opportunity. However, if we're taking a look at current price points to previous highs where we were, that's also about 9.95, 10.2, 10.8%. So be aware of that. Make sure to be prepared when this does happen, right? Pay attention once again to the MACD. RSI, we are sitting at 49. So, we have plenty of room to run once we do see this bounce. We do have, a price adjustment by Morgan Stanley from 55 to 55 from 52. So we're sitting at 51.80. They had a price target at 52. Now they moved it up to 55. And once again, they have an equal weight on this as well. So, I see this definitely having a bounce in the near future here at either the 50 moving average or, worst case scenario, we come down to here, the 48.97. Don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. Anything can happen. Just be prepared and paying attention to the MACD and the RSI. Once this move does happen, this is definitely a great opportunity to make approximately 10.2, 10.8%. So the next one we're going to be taking a look at is going to be WWE. This one here, we had highs of 70, 72. And then we ended up pulling back since pretty much the mid last month, right? Mid June, right? We started pulling back closer to the beginning. Actually, we started pulling back from the 70, 72 mark. We ended up pulling back all the way through earnings. We did well on earnings. We ended up breaking above, and we have been doing fairly good in the last few days. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. That way you guys can see a little bit clearer. We have been doing fairly well the last few days. We're having some issues here at the 50 moving average. However, earnings went well. We did push up right after earnings, and then we just kind of been consolidating with this dip. However, we're looking at approximately from current price points to those highs, we're looking at about 24, 25% profit potential when we do recover. If we want to look at the big picture here, we have been trending to the upside above the 180-day, above the 200 moving averages. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this at least recover to those levels, potentially get rejected at those levels, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does come up back to that moving average level. And that's about 10.1, 10.2%. maybe 11% if we do have a little bit of a move to the upside above it. However, from current price points, like I said, we're looking at about 23, 24% back to the upside. So pay attention to WWE. Once again, we're sitting at 51, so we still have plenty of room to run on the RSI, and MACD is slowly starting to push up to the upside. We've just been consolidating here at this level. This has been a critical level, so make sure to consider that as well. We're looking at approximately right over here. We had a little bit of struggle down here back a few months ago in February, where we consolidated at that same general level. That used to be a resistance. Now it's acting as a support. So I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, to see this push up to the upside. So be aware and add this to your watch list. The next one that we're going to take a look at is going to be UPS. This is one that, we've been watching for some time now. Ever since earnings happened, we had a huge pullback here on earnings, and then we've just been consolidating here at the support level. So make sure to consider this as well, right? So we are fairly on the oversold side still. This does seem to be a very strong support level. So if this does break, the next level that we'd be paying attention to would be this level down here. However, as of right now, I don't see this breaking down anytime soon. The next level, like I said, would be 181. So, we did have a pullback happen because of earnings, and then we've just been consolidating. I would wait for confirmation. Let's see what happens. Definitely a great opportunity. And from current price points to where the price was at, pretty much since April, we've been sitting above that $200 mark, right? So 198, $200 mark. We've been pretty much above that this entire time. So let's say we do recover above 200. We're looking at about 7.34 up to the SMA levels. And then if we recover to recent highs before, earnings came out, we'd be looking at a 10.68% recovery. And if we look at all-time highs, we're looking at about 13.32. UPS isn't going to go anywhere. United Parcel Services, they're not going anywhere. So this company is going to continue to exist, continue to operate. However, the opportunity that we do have right now, we don't see that too often. Be aware that beginning of the year, we were sitting at 154, and that 150, we were looking about 155 to that 170 level. So once again, like I'm saying, nobody can predict what's going to happen. We can just anticipate and prepare. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So, can it definitely drop to these levels? Absolutely. I just don't see that happening anytime soon. However, just be prepared in either case, right? But as of right now, the opportunity that we're seeing, I see this to be a fairly great buy opportunity. Not necessarily buying right now, but when this move does begin to happen, definitely be prepared to buy in order to capitalize on the recovery here right after earnings. So the next one that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be UPRO. This one has been fairly consistent last week. We had this on watch last week. This has just been consistent pretty much since the beginning of the year, since the end of last year and the beginning all of this year. Pretty much we've just consistently been trending above the 180-day and the 280-day moving averages. We do, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback. We were saying that, that could happen last week. However, we did very well. We actually pushed higher, and then we ended up seeing, a little bit of consolidation and higher highs. So as of right now, we are stretching to more so the overbought side. However, with the consistency, definitely one to add to your watch list. If this does pull back down to the SMA level at 117, that is absolutely a buy opportunity in my opinion. So, that would be definitely a better price point to be at. However, with the consistency, this is something that I'm super worried about. But make sure to keep an eye on this one for this dip buy opportunity, or you can just steadily, capitalize on the slow move to the upside. So whatever works, whatever you see value in, take advantage of that. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Skills, SKLZ. This one here had highs of 46 back in February. We ended up pulling back, and we've just been consolidating here and this level in this channel. We are at the very, very bottom of this channel after earnings. We didn't get impacted too hard by earnings with Skills. And this one has just been trending still basically inside this channel. And we're now sitting at the bottom of this channel, right? So as of right now, I do not see this dropping any lower. If you wanted to ever get into skills, this would probably be the best price point you can get in at. This hasn't been this cheap since pretty much last year. So this is the best price you can get on skills in the last 6 to 7, 8 months, right? So, you know, if you see value in this company, if you see value in this company long term, make sure to consider that and make sure to take advantage of the opportunity if it does present itself to you. Obviously, you know, we did see a little bit of a jump here today. We jumped from basically that 1187 mark all the way up to 1242. So we saw a nice push today. This one was definitely on the watch for us and on watch for our team on Sunday night. So if you are a part of the team, you saw that announcement happen. To take a look at this one, that was a 6.68% move that we saw just on Monday. If we do hold above the EMA and we start pushing up higher, I wouldn't be surprised to see this push to at least the moving averages, which is another 33%. And if we come back up to the top of this channel, we're looking about 62%. And if we're going to recover all the way to those all-time highs that we saw, you know, that's going to be even a bigger move. So let's go ahead and measure that one out. That was about 46.30. So from current price points, we're sitting at 11 or 1242 as of right now. So we're looking at a recovery to all-time highs at 72.97%. So this might be just a better longer term play. However, definitely a lot of opportunity to capitalize on the short term as well. So the next one we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Starbucks, SBUX. This one here also has a very consistent uptrend pattern. We have seen that, you know, hold true for the last pretty much 7-8 months. Since last year, we've just been trending here for the most part above the SMAs, the simple moving averages of the 280-day and 180-day, or 200-day and 180-day moving averages. We've just seen a little bit of a pullback here due to earnings. We did pull back down to the bottom of these simple moving average levels. And so we're still consolidating at this point. However, be aware that if we do break this EMA level here to the upside, you know, we do have dividends coming up. If we do break above that level to the upside, I can, you know, anticipate a recovery. I wouldn't say, you know, let's not even say to all-time highs, but let's say pre-earnings, we're looking at about 2.9%, and we're looking at about 6.63% recovery to all-time highs. You know, Starbucks, once again, a very strong company. They're not going anywhere either. And so, you know, if you ever wanted to jump in on Starbucks and be, you know, an investor in Starbucks or trade Starbucks, this is probably a fairly great price point to be looking at. We are looking like we're more so on the oversold side than the overbought side. MACD, you know, it looks like we might still have a little bit more room to pull back. So I would stay patient with this. Once again, wait for confirmation, wait for that EMA confirmation before entry. And then you can definitely get in at the best possible price. So that's what's going on with Starbucks. Definitely an opportunity to pay attention to. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Amazon. Once again, another strong company, another one that had a strong pullback due to earnings. We saw a huge drop here after earnings. It was about a 8.1% drop. We dropped down to the support level that we've had marked off. We've consolidated at this point. We're still looking like we're consolidating. However, you know, with the oversold side, RSI, we do have a lot of room to run once we do start recovering to the upside. Same thing with the MACD. We're looking good on the MACD. I wouldn't say we're going to pull back anymore. I wouldn't expect that to happen unless, once again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if the market does start pulling back, we might see a little bit more pullback. So that next level would be 31.71. That's probably the next level I'd be watching if the market does cause this to pull back more. However, as of right now, what I'd be watching is I would be watching this EMA level, a break and confirmation of that. And if we do start seeing more confirmation from the RSI and the MACD that we are starting to recover to the upside, to pre-earnings levels, we're looking at about 8.03%. All-time highs, we're looking at about 11.5%. If you wanted to get in on Amazon and you wanted to get a deal on it, this would probably be a time to consider this as an opportunity for you. And if you, once again, if you see value in it, you know, do what you think is right, and do what you think would make more sense. This is from a technical standpoint. This is just a great opportunity to definitely consider, or at the very least add to your watch list. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Z for Zillow. This one very similar to Skills. Kind of the same setup here. We ended up seeing highs of 208 and we pulled back in this channel, and then we ended up just consolidating in this channel this entire time for the last few months. We are at the very bottom of this channel. Earnings, once again, we did have a little bit of an impact from earnings. It did dip down a little bit lower. However, with the housing market and how all of that is doing right now, I wouldn't expect this to boom anytime soon. But Zillow is a great company. I don't think this one is going anywhere either. And to get it at this price level is, it's fairly a deal in my opinion. This hasn't been this low since basically last year as well. So once again, similar setup. This hasn't been this cheap in a very long time. So from current price points, if we recover just to the top of this channel that we've been trading in, that's about a 20.29% profit potential. And then, the next level up would be 45% profit potential. And then if we recover to all-time highs, we're looking at about a 51% profit potential. So this could be a great short-term play. This is one that we're going to be paying attention to with the team throughout this week. Definitely, I definitely see opportunity in the short term for sure. We are very oversold on the RSI, not super oversold, but we are more so on the oversold side. We are looking like we're starting to curve up a little bit. We're going to be waiting for that EMA confirmation for us to make any entries at all. However, if you do want to consider this as a potential long-term play as well, that 51% profit potential or 51% profit potential looks very attractive when you can get it at the cheapest price that it's been at for the last 6 to 7 to 8 months, right? So if you see value in it, make sure to add it to your watch list, set your alerts, and pay attention to it throughout the week and throughout the next few weeks. The next one we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Fiverr, FVRR. This one had a huge pullback due to earnings. Another one that pulls back because of earnings. We saw a drop of approximately 27%, huge drop today. Once again, we did announce this to the team on Sunday night, so before the Monday market opened anyways, and we ended up seeing a huge push today. We saw a 6.8% push today, and it looks like we are starting to get into that recovery mode after earnings, right? So MACD is looking very good. RSI, we just popped our heads out of this oversold territory. And if I had a guess, I would say we're definitely at least going to recover to the moving averages, which is about a 24% profit potential. If we recover to pre-earnings levels, we're looking at about 24.88%. Recent highs, 31%. I'm not going to really measure the all-time highs because that was a few months ago, so it's not as relevant. However, in the short term, definitely see this recovering to at least those levels. Might be throughout this week. It might be a quick recovery, or it might take a little bit longer. Last time we ended up seeing support here, we didn't quite come down to this support level. However, we did recover instantly right after, or we're starting to recover fairly instantly after earnings and that impact that it had on it. So make sure to consider this, add this to your watch list. If you see value in Fiverr, also a very great company. If you're not aware of what that company is, do some research, do your fundamental research behind the company. And once again, like I said, if you see value, add it to your watch list. I would say this is a fairly great buy opportunity as well, or a fairly great opportunity to consider a buy when we're at these cheap prices. When the last time this price was in May, and then before that was pretty much all the way back in last year, like November of last year. So make sure to consider this as a opportunity and add this to your watch list at the very least. The next one's going to be WYNN. This one did very well last week. This week, what we're looking at, so we did see a quick recovery here after earnings. Earnings did very well and it made a nice push. We did have some hard times breaking through this 50 moving average. So we did dip down a tad bit in the last few days. However, what I would say is, we might have a little bit of room to drop a little bit more just due to what I'm saying here on the MACD. However, with the RSI, we do have plenty of room to run I would say, this used to be a great support level. We did dip down because of earnings. So I don't know if I want to consider that. Obviously, we'll mark this as a support level, a new support level, because it is what it is. However, earnings, that's what really had that push to the downside because of that. So make sure to consider that. Worst case scenario, we come back down to this 90.26 level. So, I would stay a little bit patient with this until we start seeing a little bit more clarity here with the MACD. RSI is looking good, and the profit potential compared to the risk that we have here, it's definitely worth considering for sure. We have been pulling back pretty much all of last month. So, we do have quite a bit of a profit potential margin set up for us here. We're looking at about 21.44, 21.44% recovery profit potential to literally what it was at a month ago. Recent highs before that, we're looking at about 29%. All-time highs, we're looking at about 33%. The risk that we're going to be taking into consideration is going to be here, this 5.57% risk. I would probably, like I said, wait for the MACD to really give us a clearer signal before jumping into any of this. So maybe wait for it to really pan out throughout this week. I would ideally say a break above this 50 moving average would be that buy signal, just because we've seen this get rejected multiple times at that level. We got rejected here at the 50. We got rejected here at the 50. We came down, we came back up, got rejected here at the 50, came back down, came back up, got rejected here at the 50, came back up, down, came back up, rejected once again at the 50 and this resistance level. So let's see what happens. Ideally, you want this to break this 50 moving average. And once we do break it, let's measure from there to the next 200-day moving average. We're still looking at about 14.5%. So either way you cut it, this one's definitely worth adding to your watch list and keeping an eye on. Set your alerts. And once this does pan out, you'll be prepared and you'll be ready. The next one that we're going to look at is going to be PayPal, PYPL. This one here, we did see a nice pullback because of earnings. Once again, this happens quite often with earnings, and it has slowly been recovering. We have been holding here above the EMA. Today, we ended up seeing a little bit of a push to the downside here, back to this EMA. So once again, we can really pay attention to this and see what happens throughout this week. What I would say is, similar to the last one, is make sure to see this pan out a little bit better, right? Let's see a little bit of a bounce here on the EMA. And if it does, that would probably be a great indication for an entry, and use the, sub EMA level as your stop loss point, as your exit in case things are not going to be working out according to plan. However, from current price points that we're looking at, if we do see this bounce, we are starting to look like we have some continuation to still happen here on the MACD. Our side, plenty of room to run. So I wouldn't be surprised if this does continue to head higher. The first level I'd be paying attention to is obviously the moving averages. Those do tend to act like resistances. So that's about a 2.84%, profit potential if we do recover to that point. If we recover to, pre-earnings levels, we're going to be looking at about 6.85%. And then all-time highs, we're looking about 9.72%. Once again, I would say, wait for a bounce here on the EMA before potentially making an entry. If you do see value in this opportunity, make sure to be managing your risk with a proper risk to reward ratio. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at is MPAA. This one here, we did see a nice push up here on, on earnings. We saw a push up and then we saw an instant push down. So how do we really interpret that? Well, they did do very well on earnings. So really, it's hard to say at this point. However, the opportunity is definitely worth considering and paying attention to, because if tomorrow we see another push to the upside, I would definitely, consider this as a great opportunity. What I'd be watching is I'll be watching this moving average 200 and 180-day level. Just because we came up to this level, we had a rejection at this level and we had an instant pushback. That could be due to people taking profits, capitalizing really quick, or, we just got rejected at this level because it acted as a resistance. So that's the level I'd be paying attention to and watching. I'd really be watching this in the morning and seeing which direction it's going to be heading into. Just because we had good earnings doesn't mean the price has to go up. So make sure to keep that in mind. However, I have a hard time believing that this will drop any lower than it was. Obviously, we're going to use this as a resistance point because this is what it was. So we did drop down to this resistance point. Worst case scenario, we dropped down to 20.97. This does tend to be a fairly strong support level. So we did find a support here, and then earnings, great earnings, which was more confirmation. I would, like I said, wait for this break of this 180-day moving average. And then from that point on, we'd be looking for a recovery to, those next levels here up here. That'd be a 7.94% profit potential. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a rejection at that point. We do tend to get rejected at those levels. So we have just been basically trending in this channel here. So, obviously, if we push up to this price point, that would be our profit potential. Obviously, we want to get in at the best possible price. So make sure to wait for confirmation for this 8.959% profit potential, and make sure to have a risk to reward ratio established. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at, and this is going to be the final one, is going to be SPCE. This one here, we had a nice pullback right after all that hype that we saw with SpaceX, or with, Virgin Galactic. We saw a nice pullback right after that, and we have just been consolidating at this point. We did break through the EMA. We also broke above the 50-day moving average, and we also had earnings happen, and that acted as a positive catalyst, and we're starting to push up higher. Similar to all the other ones that we take a look at, make sure to consider the moving averages as a potential resistance. So from current price points, we might be looking at a 9.84% profit potential up until those moving averages, which might act as resistance. So consider that. However, I wouldn't be surprised if this does push higher to those levels if we do have more positive news. That's about 52% profit potential. I anticipate that this will do fairly well throughout this month and next month. Obviously the overall market will have an impact on this. So if the market pulls back, this will probably pull back. And also this does have, quite a bit of momentum still going. So make sure to consider this as a potential opportunity. We have been pushing up all day today. This has definitely been a great one with a lot of momentum. We do look like we're starting to come in with a little bit of volume, nothing crazy, but keep an eye on this. We are looking a little overbought, but if there's momentum on our side, overbought is not an issue. We were very overbought throughout, pretty much all of May and June, as this was pushing up higher and higher and higher and higher. So, just because it's overbought, most of the time it does mean that, you want to consider taking profits or managing your risk very, very tight. Like I said, the first level I'd be watching is those moving averages, which would add up for it to, be overbought and have a little bit of a pullback. So, keep that in mind. Add this to your watch list. If you see value in this, do what you believe, do what you believe will be the best decision for yourself. However, from a technical standpoint, this is looking like it's got more fuel to go, more momentum to go. So make sure to consider this as a potential opportunity. A bonus one that we're going to give is going to be SAM. This is SAM. This one has been selling off since $1,357. This sold off all the way to $653. Earnings obviously had a negative catalyst on this. This pushed down even lower. However, today we did break up to the upside. So make sure to consider this. From current price points to pre-earnings, we're looking at about 29.36%. To all-time highs, we're looking at about 49.50%. So one thing I want to say with this one is this one would probably be more of a longer term play. So this is just a bonus one for you guys to consider. Add it to your watch list. Do some research, do some fundamental research on this, and make sure to take advantage of it if you do see value in this. So that's going to be it, guys, for this week's Stock Talk video. If you guys liked what we saw, if you guys liked what you guys saw throughout this video, make sure to smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe, share this with a friend, and good luck, and make sure that your week ends green. I'll see you guys on next week's Stock Talk video.